So I just got back home from seeing Paul McCartney play in Paris, absolute legend. And walking on the Champs-Élysées looking for a croissant and a coffee, well, it reminded me of a song. You see, growing up I loved punk rock, and this was one of my favorite NoFX songs at the time.
But it was years later when I found out it was a cover song, originally sung by the artist called Joe Dassin, and the song was called Oh Champs-Élysées, Oh Champs-Élysées.
A song I recently heard again at the Olympics in Paris. And I thought, that chord progression is just, it's so nice. I mean, the French, not only did you invent the perfect snack, but also this great, lovely sounding chord progression. Well, actually, it was a Dutch song called O Waterlooplein.
Oh Waterlooplein.
Guess we invented the stroopwafel and this beautiful... Wait, we did... This one? Slovenian song. Well, all of these were covers of a song by a band no one has ever heard of. Jason Crest. And the song is called Waterloo Road. Press it.
Down Waterloo Road.
Is this the original? A long forgotten song that tried to well, I mean, you decide.
Penny Lane, there is a barber showing photographs. Walking down the street today, I saw a girl.
Penny Lane, Waterloo Road. Anyway, somehow it became that French anthem we all know today. And I think it is partly because of that chord progression, because there's two very interesting things happening together that work in perfect harmony, and it just creates that lovely sound. So first the basics. We all know those four chords you hear so often, right? This will sound familiar. A big chunk of today's pop music is written using just these chords. These are diatonic chords and they sound easy on the ear and they will always sound good together. And we can rearrange them slightly and this melody will work perfectly on it. That's not at all what is happening. In reality, the chords are making a beautiful, satisfying movement, constantly creating tension and resolution, all while that bass line underneath, that so many seem to miss, connects everything beautifully. So let's get going. So first of all, we start on the C, oh, Champs-Élysées, and go to A minor. But we use a pivot chord to get to that A minor chord. And a wonderful chord to use as a pivot chord is a dominant chord of the chord you're heading to. It's a little bit theoretical, but if you hear it, it'll make sense. In this case, the dominant chord of the A minor, the chord we're going to, is an E7. And we call this a non-diatonic chord. And let's see how it sounds if we jam it between there. Oh, Champs-Élysées. That sounds just perfect, right? Super satisfying. We call this a secondary dominant again, and it happens all the time. But what do we do next? So the next line starts on the F chord. Oh, Champs-Élysées. Can we use a pivot chord maybe to get to the F chord? Well, let's see. What is the dominant of F? We simply count 5 up in the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on that C note, which is the 5th, we build a dominant 7th chord, which is the C7. Which leads to F, C7 to F. So let's see how it sounds if we put that C7 before the F. I love it.
I love it when a plan comes together.
That's what Hannibal said. That's just perfect. I love it. We go to the tonic basically and make a dominant 7th out of it to resolve beautifully to that F chord. It's lovely. And then after that F chord we play the C. Oh, Champs-Élysées. And resolving to the G chord. But can we use a pivot chord to get to the G chord maybe? Why not? Because we're using it all the time. Let's do it once more. 2 times is not enough. The 5th of G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is D. D7th G. Let's see how it sounds. super classic sound actually, because what we created was a 2-5-1 at the end of the chord progression. And you'll hear this in every chord progression out there all the time, a 2-5-1 at the end. If you hear it once, you cannot unhear it. And the 2-5-1 is simply in the key of C, D being the 2, C, D, E, F, G being the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So D 7th, G 7th, C. Super classic resolution or turnaround at the end of every chord progression. So let's hear how satisfying this chord progression sounds in total. It's so rewarding to play this. But this is only the half of the story. I told you that the bass line ties everything together beautifully, right? So inside the chords, there lies a hidden line, a hidden bass line that helps connect all the chords so amazingly together. And it's the oldest trick in the book, heard in many, many songs again. So in the beginning, where we used the E7 chord to go to the A minor chord, right? Between the C and the A minor. Is there a note that lies exactly between the C and the A? A, B, C, D. The B. So what you see so often is when you move between two chords that you connect them with the note that lies between them. So C, B, A. And we call this a descending bass line. And it sounds a little bit familiar, right? But how can we make that work in our chord progression? So probably not so coincidentally, that B note is also a part of the E7th chord we play. So now we don't play the low E as a bass note, but we play the B as a bass note, the 5th of that E7 chord. C, E7 over B to A minor. This is an inversion. That sounds super amazing, right? And is there a way we can extend that bass line going forward in the chord progression? Well, I'd love to know, please tell me. Well, the next chord was, let's remember, a C7. The pivot chord that led to the F, right? And if we were to continue that bass line, we get C, B, A, G. Could we put the G underneath of the C chord? Let's just try. C7th, and let's C7th over G. Again, it's the 5th of the C7. How would that sound? Oh. That is so cool. It's like two things happening together. The marriage is beautiful. I love it. And then, can we continue? Yeah, of course, because after that C7, we went to F, which is again one lower in the scale. G, F. And then we went to C. F. Below the F is an E. Can we somehow put the E in the C chord? Of course. The E is the major third in the C major chord. And we can always, if we like, put that note in the bass. We get C over E. A classic sound, I love it. So we get F, C over E. Let me play it. Oh man, and I hate that the guitar runs out of notes here, because we want to go to even lower to that D chord, because we go to the D7th, the 2 of the 2-5-1, 2-5-1, and well, let's just play the D over here and imagine it's one octave lower. Can we do that? And then, sadly, the descending bass line has to stop, because that's what we created, a descending bass line in the key of C major, just following the C major scale down. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, G. That's the last chord. We stop descending there. We go to G, back home to C. And that line ties all those chords together so wonderful. Let's play it one time in total. love it so much. Alright, so we played the chords, we played the bass line, and I wonder if we can add a third magical ingredient. The melody. I'm playing with the capo on fret 4 because the original is in the key of E major. And this time around I'm playing O Waterloopplein. That's the version I'm playing, so copyright trolls, leave me alone. This is Johnny en Rijk. Okay, here we go, let's see if we can do it. The tabs for this are available on my Patreon page if you want to check it out. And I want to hear from you. What are some of the chord progressions you love so much? You want to see it in a video like this? Or just things you love hearing? Let me know down below in the comment section. And I'll see you next time with another video. Have a lovely day. Cheers.